My channel has 9 subscribers, and I'm about to test something I probably should have tested much earlier: YouTube search. Because for the last few weeks, I've been obsessed with one question: why isn't YouTube consistently showing my videos to people? I've tested titles, I've tested thumbnails, I've looked at impressions, I've looked at retention, I've even started questioning whether something was wrong with the channel itself. But there's one discovery system I haven't properly built a video around: search. So this time, I'm not going to make another video about what I think YouTube should do. I'm going to actually test it. And if this works, it could completely change how I approach this tiny channel. The problem with my channel: right now, I have 9 subscribers and 15 videos. My best video has reached just over 100 views. Some of my videos have received hundreds of impressions, others barely received any. And that's been the frustrating part, because I can't build watch time from people who never get the opportunity to watch. I need viewers, and to get viewers, I need discovery. But discovery doesn't only happen on the YouTube homepage. There's another place where people are actively telling YouTube what they want: search. Think about what happens when you type a question into YouTube. You're not waiting for YouTube to randomly choose something for you, you're asking for something specific. Maybe you want to know how to fix something. Maybe you want to learn something. Maybe you're trying to solve a problem. And that's exactly why I want to test this: what YouTube says about search. I don't want to build this experiment around some random YouTube guru's theory, so I went straight to YouTube's own explanation of search. YouTube says its search system prioritizes 3 major things: relevance, engagement, and quality. Relevance is basically about how well a video matches what someone searched for. YouTube says it can look at things including the title, tags, description, and the actual video content when determining relevance. Engagement matters too. For example, YouTube says it can look at watch time for a particular search query to understand whether viewers found a video relevant. And then there's quality. YouTube says its systems look for signals that help identify channels demonstrating expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness on a topic. So search isn't simply put a keyword in your title and you'll rank. There's more happening, and that's actually good news for my experiment, because I don't want to test some random YouTube keyword trick. I want to test whether I can create a genuinely useful video around something people are already searching for. Here's my hypothesis. Here's what I'm testing. If I create a video around the specific evergreen problem that people actively search for, and I make the video actually answer that problem, then maybe I can get discovered through search, even though my channel's tiny. That's the hypothesis. Notice what I'm not saying. I'm not saying search will automatically give me thousands of views. I'm not saying keywords are some secret algorithm hack. And I'm definitely not saying a 9-subscriber channel can suddenly outrank established creators. I'm testing something much simpler. Can search give this tiny channel another way to be discovered? Because right now, I need every legitimate source of discovery I can get. So I need a real experiment. And this is where I want to change something about the way I've been making videos. Instead of starting with, what YouTube topic should I talk about, I'm starting with, what problem is someone actually trying to solve? That's a completely different starting point. Because if someone searches, how do I? Why does? How can I? What's the best way to? There's already intent behind that search. Someone isn't just scrolling, they're looking for an answer. And that's exactly the kind of viewer I want to test. The video I'm building, so I'm going to choose one specific problem, not a giant topic, not how to grow on YouTube. That's way too broad. I want something specific enough that someone could type a question into YouTube and genuinely expect an answer. Then I'm going to build the entire video around that problem. The title will clearly communicate what the video answers. The opening will immediately address the question. The content will stay focused on the problem, and the description will reinforce what the video actually covers. I'm not going to stuff keywords everywhere. I'm not going to make the video sound robotic just because I'm targeting search. And I'm not going to sacrifice the viewer experience just to chase a ranking, because YouTube's own explanation makes something very clear. Search isn't only about relevance. Engagement and quality matter too. Here's what I'm going to measure. This is where the experiment gets interesting. I'm not going to judge this video simply by asking, did it go viral? That's not a useful test for a 9-subscriber channel. Instead, I'm going to watch the data. First, impressions. How many times did YouTube actually show the video? Then, search traffic. Did people actually find it through YouTube search? Then CTR. When YouTube showed it, did people click? Then average view duration. Once they clicked, did they actually stay? And finally, watch time, because that's the number I'm ultimately trying to build. I'm trying to create a channel that can eventually generate enough qualified watch time to reach monetization. So every experiment needs to move me toward that goal. But there's a problem, and I already know what you're probably thinking. If search is so powerful, why isn't everyone doing this? Well, because search isn't magic. There are already thousands of videos competing for many popular questions, and YouTube itself says search results aren't simply a list of the most viewed videos. The system is trying to find relevant results for the viewer's query. That means being small doesn't automatically disqualify me, but being small also doesn't give me an advantage. I still have to make something worth watching, and that's actually what makes this experiment interesting. I'm not trying to beat Mr. Beast. I'm trying to answer a much smaller question. Can a tiny creator create a video that YouTube search considers relevant enough and useful enough to put in front of people who are actively looking for that answer? That's it. If it works, then search could become another discovery engine for this channel. And if it knows, I need to understand why, because either outcome gives me information. Here's what would count as a win. I'm not setting some ridiculous target like get 100,000 views. That would tell me almost nothing. Instead, I want to see evidence that search is actually working. If this video begins receiving impressions from YouTube search, that's evidence. If search starts producing views consistently, that's stronger evidence. If those viewers actually watch the video, that's even stronger. And if the video continues getting search traffic days or weeks after publication, then I've discovered something much more valuable than a one-day spike. I've discovered a repeatable traffic source. That's what I'm looking for. And this is why I'm going evergreen. There's another reason I'm doing this. I'm becoming less interested in making videos that are only useful for 1 week. YouTube news changes, algorithm updates change, features change, but problems don't disappear nearly as quickly either. Someone will still want to know how to improve a YouTube thumbnail. Someone will still wonder why their videos aren't getting impressions. Someone will still want to understand CTR. Someone will still want to know how watch time works. Someone will still be trying to grow from zero. Those are problems that can remain searchable long after the upload date. And that's the kind of content I want to start building. Not because it's guaranteed to get views, but because the video can keep having a reason to exist. So here's the test. I'm going to publish the video. Then I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to watch what happens. Not after 10 minutes, not after 1 hour. I'm going to give the experiment enough time to produce meaningful information. Then I'll come back into YouTube Studio and look at the numbers. How many impressions did it get? How many came from search? What was the CTR? How long did people watch? Did subscribers come from it? And most importantly, did search actually find people for me? If it works, if search starts bringing people to this channel, I'm going to do it again. Not with the exact same topic, with another genuine problem, and another, because then this stops being one experiment. It becomes a system. One searchable problem, one useful video, one test, then another. And over time, a library of videos that people can discover whenever they need them. That's the kind of channel I'm trying to build. But if it fails, there's another possibility. Maybe search barely sends me anyone. Maybe the video gets almost no impressions. Maybe people see it but don't click. Maybe they click and leave. And if that happens, I'm not going to call YouTube broken. I'm going to look at the experiment. Was the question too competitive? Was the title too weak? Did the video actually satisfy the search? Did viewers stay? Was the topic even worth targeting? Because a failed experiment is still useful if I understand what failed. That's the difference this time. I'm not trying to become a YouTube guru overnight. I'm not sitting here with millions of views telling you how to grow. I'm sitting here with 9 subscribers trying to figure this out myself. And that's exactly why I think this experiment is worth watching. Because if I eventually figure out something that works, you'll be able to see the entire process, not just a result. The test, the mistake, the change, the data, and hopefully the growth. So this is my next experiment. I tested YouTube search on my tiny channel. Now let's see what YouTube does with it.